Hi, I'm Josephine. This is my channel, The Versatile Housewife. I did format this video a little bit differently. As you can see, I'm a very small channel, so I'm kind of learning what works and what doesn't. I will have timestamps down below. The way that I did this video is I was taking shots throughout last night's cleaning up in the last 2 hours of the day when my kids are up before they go to bed. And it just seemed like the perfect opportunity to go over mental burnout, what it is, how to spot it, how to deal with it, because those 2 hours are like the most draining for me. It's a level of mental and physical, but I'm just going to talk about mental today. If you don't want to hear all the overwhelming sounds, you can skip forward. If you want to hear the overwhelming sounds, take a listen at what I'm referring to kind of explain as I talk later on in the video. Then just watch straight through, because there's lots of noise, lots of activity, and that whole idea of trying to clean up while you got little ones right behind you. But we make it work. We get better at this kind of thing. So I hope that you enjoy this video. Yeah, you did. Hope that you enjoy this video. If you have any comments on this editing style, if you like it or don't, please leave it down below. And I hope you enjoy. It is 6 p.m. here at my house, which it's around 6, and right about now is basically the rush hour or hours before getting kids in bed. And my house is crazy and chaotic. So yeah, I am feeling close to being burnt out. I've done car projects with my husband. We have mold issue in the crawl space, moving things around, still wanting to get a little bit done of both my postage stamp quilt and my crazy quilt a little bit today, as well as just the standard keeping up with the house and working on the triple bunk. So I kind of want to share with how I avoid burnout and things that you can do to prevent it. And I have found that there's 3 different types of burnout: physical, mental, and emotional. And with the amount of background noise that you can probably hear in this video, I think the first one we're going to talk about is mental. So I'm going to do 3 videos on this: mental, physical, emotional. We're tackling mental, but I'm going to go ahead, get my kiddos ready, get my house all picked up, take care of myself after they are in bed, and then we'll chat about it. Let's clean up. Okay.
They remember Alex? He goes very fast, but he did went on the road.
Mental burnout definitely happens when you are a caregiver, because your ears are open and your eyes are open. And even though you don't necessarily always have to keep your eyes on your kids at all times, at all hours, you're still being mindful of them. You're being mindful of where they are. Your ears are taking in this information, and also you have lots of other individuals, even if it's just one, even if you have just one child. And especially if you start adding pets or any other people you might be caregiving of, like if you have a multi-generational household. But there's the messes. It's if they get into messes, is it safe? Is it sanitary? It's not just messes and things. Like if you have pets and stuff, are kids able to get into the food? Because then if you have pets too and young children, you have to teach the children to respect the animals to not go after the children. When you have any kind of animal that's territorial, it's a lot that adds up. And not only in the house, but also schedules. And we can debate all we want about if we have partners who are needing to take care of their own thing in their own schedules. Not all of us are in a partnered relationship, but whether you are a widow, you are co-parenting, or you are in a marriage or living with the other parent, there is taking care of all the schedules of the kids. You are the parent, you are responsible for the schedules. My children cannot take themselves to any wellness visits. They cannot take themselves to any games that they are now attending. They cannot take themselves to their play dates. I have to do that. I have to arrange that for them. Not just the schedules, but also just inventory within the house, things like that. It adds up and it takes a mental toll. And here's how you start to discover if you are having mental burnout. A lot of times it has to do with the fact that you will begin to forget things. So what are some ways that we start to notice that we are experiencing mental burnout? Well, getting distracted, way easier, way faster. And when we lose focus, we can't get back into it. We can't will ourselves to continue the thing. So you're doing something like cooking and you get repeatedly interrupted by kids. It can be really hard. But this is where I mention forgetting and distraction kind of together. When you forget to go back to cooking after you're dealing with stuff, and now you have burnt noodles, and little things like this just keep happening where you are in the middle of maybe making a sandwich, you get interrupted and you completely forget about the sandwich. And as stuff like this keeps happening, you are vacuuming, something happens, you forget that the vacuum's there until you hear another kid turn it on. It's things like this where we really start to see that our brain is kind of at capacity with remembering and getting distracted. So at least one thing that you can do for that is lists and planners. These are tools that can help kind of free up some space, so at least you're not trying to hold on to a level of just remembering everything. And as much as having alerts on the phone can be annoying and, figuring out some of these calendars, once you have it set up and you get used to it, you just kind of have to accept that you do have a little bit of a crutch that you need, because burnout is not just being healthy. We have to address it, cope with it while we can until we can hopefully, get that rest we need. And following along with being extra forgetful or finding yourself much more easily distracted, you'll have emotional outbursts. It's going to be a lot harder to keep calm, to keep your cool, to be collected. You're going to find that you're more irritable because think about it. You have all this stuff that you're actively thinking about that you are aware of, but other people may not be. Your kids don't really have respect depending on how old they are. Because here's the thing, my 18-month-old has no respect for my cooking schedule. He has no respect for the fact that someone knocked over glass and it's now shattered and he has to stay out of the way. He has to learn that. He's brand new to this humaning thing and he has to learn it. But I am well aware of what needs to be done. Now, I'm also hearing other people who I can't even explain to of why it's important that they need to now wait in their room while I clean this issue up, as an example. And it's going to lead to my own self feeling pent up and frustrated. Not only that, I think that this really does come kind of more severely after starting to be forgetful and distracted a lot, because that is also then very frustrating and irritating, and you'll feel like a failure, like I really keep forgetting all of this stuff. And yes, you are, because you are hitting a point of burnout. You need to have a little bit of grace for yourself. So one of the ways to help deal with this is to, which to some might seem unfortunate or maybe even lazy, but kind of take a night off in terms of any kind of deep cleaning or other levels of chores that you are able to put off. If you need just a moment to yourself, to be yourself, then you can do it. I have personally found that this is when I need to just brain rot, watch a movie, have a snack, spend a little bit of time with myself to just let myself cool down, because there does come a point too where even if I want to exercise, even if I want to work on a project, once I start hitting that level where I can't control my emotions, anything will irritate me. I don't get the pump that I was seeking during an exercise, I'm going to be mad. If I have to backtrack on a sewing item and now I need to seam rip and start again, if I sewed the wrong sides together, I can't handle it right then. So I really need to force myself to just take some time off, and I find that this is useful, and then you start to feel a little bit more refreshed. And I think a way to help just with that idea is honestly just to remind yourself that you are doing this for your mental health. health, it's not because you're lazy. This is very much actively taking time to self-care. I know too, as parents, sometimes we'll sacrifice sleep to be able to do things that are of us, of our identity, to have it be uninterrupted. But if your kids are starting to sleep more and you are a level of sleep deprived, trust me that this is where mental and physical burnout kind of come together. You may need to take a couple nights where you're prioritizing your sleep just to get out of this funk and give your brain some time to really rest and your body to recover as well. And the only real last advice that I have that I found to be monumental in my brand new motherhood and homemaking journey is to leave the mom forums. If they are stressing you out, if other people's opinions about your level of parenting are bothering you in any negative way, you are allowed to leave those groups. You don't have to deal with it. Some of us are a little bit chronically online, especially these days. It's something that we lean to more and more. And also, I know that with dealing with family, sometimes it's hard to put boundaries up, or sometimes it's easy to put boundaries up, but you're finding other communities with people. And this is a level of either you click or you don't. But in some of these forums versus actually having friends and friends in real life or certain groups, you'll have a lot of opinions. You may be dealing with kids who can't sleep, and some people will say it in either a self-righteous or nasty tone, and I mean, usually they kind of go together, about how you're wrong for co-sleeping, or you're wrong for sleep training, or what sleep training actually is. Is it cry it out, or is it pick up, put down, pick up, put down, pick up, put down, pick up, put down? And then people arguing over the definitions of things. If you have certain health concerns with your child, and now people are arguing that. And here's the thing, and this is some encouragement that I want to give to you when you're parenting and you're feeling like you can't do anything right. One, you are the parent, not strangers, and even with outside family members, they're not the parent either. You are likely around your child one of the most, or someone close to you if they're helping to watch your kids. And two, your kid is also their own person, and something that works for someone else may not work for them, and then something that worked for you when you were a child, if you're seeking advice from your mom and stuff, may not work for them. And three, if you have multiple children, they're all different from each other, and then something that works for one kid will not work for the other. Also, I really find that because we are all so different from each other and from our own kids, there's all those dynamics of dealing with personalities and personality traits. And although this can absolutely take a toll as we're learning how to live with each other, because we're learning to live with our kids too, the same way they are learning to be people, and we're trying to teach them. We're also new to this. I mean, I'm almost 5 years in. I'm just about to be 5 years into this whole parenting gig. I mean, if you want to include pregnancy, then a little more, but it's not like I had to deal with feeding. I didn't have to deal with potty training. I didn't have to do any diaper changes. I just had to be a little bit in pain. But we're all so different from each other, so let's just give grace where grace is due, and that includes giving grace to yourself as you are on this journey. And also know that this season is a season. It is not for a lifetime. You're only going to be in this situation where you're parenting minor children for so long. There is an end of the road, and although in some ways it may get more difficult, in other ways it might start to get easier. Okay, so at this point it is 8:05, quite possibly 8:06 now that I started recording, just depending on the seconds. I'm enjoying some decaf coffee, and I'm gonna unwind a little bit, as in I'm gonna give myself like a good 10 minutes. I'm gonna have this, maybe have a little bit more, and then I'm gonna get my exercising done. I don't know if I'll get anything else done, but I want to make sure that any dirty dishes are either in the dishwasher or clean, and wipe down the counters, sweep and mop main areas, always the kitchen floor. I mean, I don't always do it, but as often as I can, and tonight I can do that. Well, thank you for making it to the end. I'm sorry for this unconventional spot. I'm doing just a little bit of hiding from my kids. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments again on the formatting, I would love to hear it. I really want to get better at making these. I want to actually have time set aside to do it where I dedicate it and becomes more of a line item in my day. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying sharing what I've been learning as a parent, a new parent, and a newer homemaker. And also, I hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.